Oi, 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 YouTube. Good morning. It's good to see you guys. Today we are going into the developer update part 2. Admittedly, a much smaller developer update, but it's got some interesting things that we do need to talk about and some perk changes. So let's go ahead and just dive right in. I hope you guys are doing well. Get your water. Be sure you take your medicines today if you have any to take. Let's get on in here. So obviously, we read part 1 yesterday. You guys can look at that and read that. The first thing we want to kind of talk about and that they mention is a kind of more serious thing to talk about. They say, before we dive into the fun stuff, we want to address a serious topic. For those who may not know, the cannibal can unlock the faces of 4 original survivors by sacrificing them 25 times. Members of the community have shared their experiences with people targeting and harassing them while using some of these masks. These reports are disheartening to hear, and we absolutely condemn this behavior. We're not comfortable having these masks in the game when they are used as a tool to spread hate. To that end, we will be removing the cannibal's unlockable faces in this upcoming mid-chapter. Anyone who has ever played the cannibal by the release of the mid-chapter update will be awarded 6,000 iridescent shards to compensate for their removal. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of you freaking out. Oh, what's the big deal? Here's the big deal. A lot of Leatherfaces would equip the Claudette mask to harass black streamers and people who play Claudette to enact racist fantasies and things like that. Now, you may say some ignorant shit, like removing the mask doesn't get rid of racism. And you're not wrong, inherently, but that's not the problem. The problem comes in 2 parts. One, that Claudette face on Bubba is reminiscent of blackface. If you're not really sure why that matters, then there's a history lesson in the description down below. If you are actually looking to educate yourself, there is an entire article that I wrote featuring the voices of black individuals, black streamers, that talks a lot about why this is difficult. Having images reminiscent of blackface in the game is not good. Does removing the face stop racism? No. Does it prevent the harm and trauma and weirdness that comes with blackface and seeing blackface? Yes. And that's a step in the right direction. All right. You guys are getting compensated fairly for a free cosmetic. In theory, you're actually getting more than you had already. So they say we will not tolerate hateful activity and will continue to take every step necessary to protect the community. I want to make this super, super clear. If my comment section blows up and you're upset about this, I'm going to just block you or remove you from the channel. I'm not really having a discussion about whether or not it's racist. That's not happening. So they are talking about grade rewards. A few months back, ranks became grades, and we introduced rewards based on how far you managed to climb each month. Currently, the rewards range up to 250,000 blood points. They are going to be increasing this. So we'll be increasing the grade rewards starting with January 13th season, with the new rewards going out February 13th. We don't know what those rewards are going to be yet, so keep an eye on that. Now, in this case, they are changing some add-ons. So we're not hearing anything about Legion. We're not changing anything about any particular killers yet, which makes this kind of a sad mid-chapter. They're going to be talking about a little bit about some of these updates with these add-ons, and you can take a look at these. Nothing's too crazy. Redhead's pinky finger reduces bottle count by 2 and things like that. Amanda's letter reduces available RBTs by 2. It used to be 3, so Amanda's letter is not nearly quite as bad as it used to be. So you can definitely kind of go over these. Most of its numeric value bumps. 25 was 33. Speed by 35 was 50, so you can see all this here. Mostly it's exposed effect durations or just small numeric changes. We can go down here to perk updates, and I think these are worth talking about, definitely. So let's dive in. The effects of wiggling on boil over have been increased to 50, 75, or 100%, and the aura blocking range for nearby hooks has been increased to a nice round 16 meters. Additionally, boil over now has a new effect. If the killer drops from a height while carrying you, you'll instantly get a 25% wiggle progress bonus. That is a lot, and I think I don't like this. I think this is kind of weird. We'll see. The good news is that killers can see that boil over is on, right? They can see that somebody's using it. So if somebody goes up to a hill, then you can just not drop off the hill. Super weird though. So that seems like a huge, like 25% is not insignificant. That's cutting 4 seconds of wiggle time out. That's weird. Distortion. With all the things that can read your auras these days, these tokens can disappear sooner than you'd like. So we're upping the number of tokens that you start with to 4. This is weird. Distortion is like old news. Like Shadow Step exists. Distortion's weird. They say the number of tokens you start with has been upped to 4. Okay, I'm a little bit weirded out by distortion in general. It's just nobody's going to run it still. Remember Me can have a lot of potential, but the basic attack condition can make it an unpopular choice on some killers, so it's gone. Remember Me will now get a token whenever the obsession loses a health state. This is a big deal. As somebody who plays Trickster and Pyramid Head, M1s aren't always something you're going to be able to achieve if you've played Huntress or even Blight with like lethal rushes and things like that. Remember Me is better. It's, if you're Oni and you bludgeon somebody down in your ability, you get a token now. You don't have to make that weird choice. End game builds, hurrah. On that note, it seems only fitting to revisit Wake Up. We've increased the gate opening speed bonus to 15, 20, or 25%. So that's interesting. Wake Up now opens the gates faster. Gearhead has gotten completely reworked. I would say, kind of. All right, so the next time a survivor, so what they've done is anytime a survivor loses a health state. So anytime a survivor loses a health state, Gearhead activates. The next time a survivor hits a great skill check while repairing, their aura will be revealed for 6, 8, or 10 seconds. Gearhead then deactivates. This is interesting because it still requires that survivors hit great skill checks, not good skill checks, all right? So the idea here is you hit a survivor, and if you're in chase, you could look around and go, hey, what's going on out there? And then somebody might hit a great skill check, and then you could see that they're on a gen because their aura is revealed. While that's interesting, I think the great skill check barrier makes it, to be fair, it keeps it from being OP, but also it's going to make it really inconsistent, which means it's not going to be ran that often. I'm excited to run Gearhead today on Twitch. Check us out live, and we'll see kind of how it works out. Then we have Power Struggle, all right? They basically have made Power Struggle better. Power Struggle will now activate once 25, 20, or 15% wiggle progress has been reached. So this essentially means that now if you're using like flip-flop, you really only have to like be slugged up to the 30% range, I believe. Flip-flop's 50. Anyway, you only need 15% wiggle progress. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. It's easy to get, right? Buckle Up, another small tweak. The aura reading duration has been increased to 6, 8, or 10 seconds. It's still Buckle Up. I don't know. Coup de grace. This one's a bit of a roller coaster. It was originally toned down because it was too strong, but that made it a little too weak. We're bumping the lunge increase up to 70, 75, or 80%. So that is interesting. I like that. I mean, coup de grace is not that great, but it's fun to really catch people off guard sometimes. Put it on Plague or like a killer who's not going to use M1 a lot or that you can reserve your M1s on. Becomes goofy. It's fun. Furtive Chase. It's still Furtive Chase. The only difference is when the obsession dies, you don't lose all your tokens. It's still not a good perk because it only shrinks your terror radius while you're in a chase. And at a high enough level, that doesn't do anything. I don't know. Dead Man Switch. The obsession condition of this perk makes it very inconsistent to use and also severely limits the number of times it can activate in a match. So it's gone. Now Dead Man Switch will activate whenever any survivor is hooked. So Dead Man Switch, anytime anybody gets off of a generator, this would, so if you hooked the obsession previously, you'd hook the obsession. If somebody got off of a generator, then basically what would happen is the gen would lock, right? So now you don't have to hook the obsession. This is actually going to pair really well with the new Scourge hook, right? The gen with the most progress will explode if you hook somebody. So say you hook a survivor on the Scourge hook, the gen will explode, survivor screams, and then Dead Man Switch will lock the generator immediately after. An interesting combination that I actually think will be fun. I don't know how strong it'll be, but we're also testing that out on Twitch later today. Please come over to Twitch. What do you guys think of all these updates? I think they're fun. I don't think anything's like, really, it's not touching anything that I feel like needs to be touched. Like no Circle of Healing, no updates to like Legion or Ghostface. This was probably one of the mildest mid chapters we've seen for balancing, but that does not mean it's a bad mid chapter, as accessibility features and all kinds of other great things were listed yesterday that are really, it seems like they went into and started just working on the systems of Dead by Daylight and some like underpinnings that exist. And you know what? I'm kind of okay with that. If that means the next mid chapter is going to be a little bit heavier with regards to balancing and things like that. Season of the Witch not getting touched during this mid chapter sort of breaks their rules about mid chapters addressing prior killers a little. It's a little weird. We'll see what happens. So what do you guys think? Let us know down below. Check us out on Twitch later today, and we'll be praying to the entity to see you guys in the next video.